No days off for the Badge Bros. We had to fire up the 480p camera again at the cabin with the spotty Wi-Fi just to make sure people get the BR content coming their way before this thing fills, because we are already at 40%. Get me off the screen. That is tragic looking.
Wow. Coming to you live once again from the security cam. It's our favorite host, Roto Run John Warner. Dude, you look better than ever. I gotta say.
I had to get like this close, like a boomer, right? Like the camera's not good enough to be like, here we go, here you guys. Oh shit, man!
Never had no stream like this.
We are 480 is being generous, the CCTV. Love to see it, but we're here nonetheless. Let's talk a little ball. We're already at 40%. I've seen some sickos max it out already. This is, my favorite time, and no better place to start than the GMs themselves. They are flowing on the Twitterverse right now. Some sweet combos coming around. Nez, you got any sweet combos to start out yet?
Nothing like too crazy. I will say the GMs have been overly impressive. I mean, just like shout out to you, like everybody that like we got all sorts of people at like nice locations, touching grass, touching sand, like thinking about guys we need and tagging. Like you got look at this little brand of yours flowing around here.
We're starting something. We're starting something here. Yeah.
No, man, I haven't been getting a lot of the GM combos. I will say, like, I get a little Lamar Andrews here and there, but like I don't wait on it to like, I don't have anything worth sharing really, but I've been like scrolling down just a lot and not even that far, but just often scrolling down and getting guys that are normally people's 6-round picks and putting 3 of them in a team. That's kind of what I've been really, really enjoying so far. But shout out to the GMs, man. There's been some sick ones out there.
No, there's definitely be some good ones. I think that's a really good precursor to them. Like the GM just started as a bit, right? Like it was Sunday morning, you're jamming before lock, you get like a couple good combos, and then you just share it as like a little thing, right? Pretty chill. But I don't want them to be discouraging either, because we love to think that we know the answers to this test, right? I know it's week 1. We think we're so sharp because we got the BBM ADP. There's a lot of weird shit that's going to happen in week 1 where like Christian McCaffrey plus Eckler is not optimal, or Eckler plus JJ is not optimal, like this sort of thing. And I think we lose sight of that when we see these. I don't want it to be discouraging in any regard. Like, because I've had people reach out. They've been like, hey, man, like, yeah, I'm kind of scared to like throw in entries now because I've seen these combos exist. And it's like, no, man, like, no, that's not how it works. Like the difference in like mean projection between like a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick that you tack on to make a sexy screenshot and someone who's not getting drafted at all is fractions of points. And it shouldn't be discouraging in any regard, right?
Yeah, that's really the long and short of it, is that in reality, these teams are not guaranteed to win like at all. And we just really need football so desperately to kind of help jam in the point that we think we know everything about this season. We don't. We really don't. And you should really be trying to take advantage of that in the BRs, because they present such like an interesting opportunity when it comes to playing DFS, whereas on traditional redacted sites, we are kind of not guessing who's underowned, but we're projecting who's underowned. And sometimes you need a paid subscription to tell you who truly is being overlooked by the field. In our GPP that we're playing over here, we know who's underowned because we have ADP, and it tells you right there who is not going to be played probably enough by the field that has similar range of outcomes as guys that are drafted every single lobby. So it's just something to remember. Like the uniqueness lever in these contests is extremely valuable to pull, and we have much better knowledge about who it's worth pulling that lever for because of ADP.
100%, man. And even when we're talking about like the chalky game environments, like as we projected right now, Miami and the Chargers, basically 4 or 5 of them get drafted every single draft. Lamar Andrews goes every single draft. Dobbins, we thought was going to be sneaky, is not sneaky at all. And he's like pushed all the way up there. There are different ways which teams realize point totals that are not just counting the Mark Andrews touchdowns, right? Yes, they're 10-point favorites. Yes, they have an implied team total north of 24 or whatever it is right now, depending where you look, 23.5, 24. That doesn't mean it's all going to funnel through Lamar and Andrews and you're dead without those guys. We got to think through contrarian paths to get there. So just a nice little reset for us. I think both of us mentally and for the community mentally that like, hey man, we haven't had BRs in a bit. If you haven't been playing the baseball streets, maybe this stuff isn't top of mind and you've just been overcome with, you know, the highest projected and best players you can obtain in BBM. Like some weird shit's going to happen this week. You got to scroll the F down. There are lots of guys that we are going to talk about today who are not getting drafted, who have the potential to be huge difference makers, right?
Yeah, exactly. I always like our meta conversations that we have, and I'm missing Numi right now. He's always got good thoughts on this as well. But no, I think people enjoy us kind of getting meta as well and just talking. You know, there's a lot of this is a big mental game, BRs, because you are forced with decisions. You have to make them sometimes on the fly. Sometimes you are going against your convictions, doing things that feel wrong, and you really do kind of have to get over some hurdles to have success in these. So definitely a good conversation points. It's evergreen, honestly. Well, this won't be the first time that we talk about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One other question that's been posed a whole bunch this week to me is the swaps. Just to walk through the swaps in the most linear fashion possible. As soon as a player gets ruled out, ruled inactive, they receive an O tag, an out tag. That out tag then will be swapped to the highest player in ADP or the highest player in which you have ranked if you've set your custom ranks. So there will be an option to just do, set your ranks for that slate. The one caveat being there's two other ways swaps can occur. The other one is a player's a true game time decision in the late window, and they do not get swapped until definitively receiving that out tag in the late window. So this applies to Cooper Kupp. If Cooper Kupp is actually a question mark all the way through Sunday, you won't get a swap at the beginning of Sunday to include all those games. Your player pool will be significantly more condensed at the end there for just afternoon games. So you will have to swap to Seattle, probably contrarian Chargers or contrarian Dolphins, Broncos or Raiders, because there's only there's 5 afternoon games, I think.
I actually haven't checked.
Okay, here. Bears and Packers you could swap to. Patriots and Eagles you could swap to. Rams and Seahawks, Chargers and Dolphins, Broncos and Raiders. So there are 5 this week. There's more than kind of usual. So you will have swap options, but a lot of those games will be highly owned. So you'll be like swapping to contrarian pieces of that game, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I can like share a screen here to kind of help illustrate. I don't know how deep into swaps you want to get, but we can kind of help illustrate some other qualities of swaps, because there's a lot of nuance to them. Like I can write an entire post just on how swaps work, and I would like to, but I'll see if maybe the people at Underdog do a more official one without hints of speculation, because I mean too, it's a very involved little process here.
Absolutely, yeah. What are you trying to show me here?
So I wanted to kind of illustrate like what would happen in a draft lobby or draft board where maybe one person needs a swap in this room, maybe 2 people need a swap in this room. But how the order of this goes. And we've covered this before, but just to kind of reiterate for people, let's say, pretend DK Metcalf is questionable today, for this week. And he might miss. And it turns out, okay, he actually does miss. And Vince Roy will get a swap there. If nobody else in this lobby has a player that is ruled out, then there's really no nuance to consider here. We just know that, okay, Mr. Vince Roy will get a swap for his DK Metcalf for anybody that was not drafted in this lobby. And it will be for his, so this is one of the question marks, right? It's like, because it's his first wide receiver, does it fill in his flex or his wide receiver? And there's still some debate on this. I don't know if you have a definitive answer on that, but that's like one of the questions that I have is, does the order, like if your first wide receiver needs a swap and you drafted 3, does that make that first wide receiver eligible for a running back or not? Because you
Yeah,
have
it
a
does.
flex.
It becomes a flex.
That's what I thought. But then you have Blake in here saying it will be a wide receiver. So there's still split.
Because it was the first one taken?
That's what Blake is saying, right? So we don't know these things. So we do need an answer, like just as one of the things that we need some clarification on.
Okay,
However,
that's a good show.
It will be whoever was not drafted in this lobby. Now, let's say Blake or Vince needs DK swapped and I need Christian Watson swapped. Well, who gets first dibs at the next available player? It works in reverse snake order. So that would be myself receiving the swap first because I was pick 6. And then whoever I swapped my player with, that would obviously not be available for Vince. And then he would get the next available player in his rankings, whether those are default or custom set. So just to kind of touch on the functionality of swaps there, I don't know if there's anything you want to like add. I mean, they're honestly, it's a pretty strange thing, these swaps, and I do think some clarifications in the rules will be coming soon because of the popularity of BRs this season. So I don't want to like speculate too much on some of this stuff.
No, yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. It's just a reverse snake order draft, and according to Blake, it would be because it was the first wide receiver, it would swap to a wide receiver. My understanding is if you have all the positions filled, it would then be turn itself into a flex and be swapped. So so we just don't know. So we'll go ahead and follow up with Oaks on that one and get a definitive answer. I have asked in the past, and my understanding was different than Blake, but maybe I'll get the reset on that as well there, because I do trust Blake's opinion. Let's jump into the slate itself, Nez. I don't know how many.
Sorry, I had to turn on my fan. It was burning up in here.
Let's talk about the slate itself and just jump into some of the player takey stuff, some of the guys you've been drafting, how many you have done and I have done, obviously. And then talk about you threw out a tweet the other day that I really liked that was just kind of asking, what was the actual phrasing? Most overlooked player in week 1 battle royales. And you suggested Brian Robinson, and that took me down a separate path. Okay. So I think there's 3 things to unpack here. I'll give you my thoughts on the Brian Robinson thing first, because it's top of mind. The one thing that we did a lot last year is we talk about how chalk formulates on redacted sites, right? And a lot of times it's salary just plus opportunity, right? And then a lot of steam and ownership goes towards that because of the, projected points per dollar thing. We can do a similar exercise here in terms of points attributed to ADP slot, right? So it's more valuable to buy a player with RB 19 with projected points of let's just call it 10 for Brian Robinson this week, right? Well, that's more beneficial to your roster construction than buying Kenneth Walker, who's RB 12, who's projected for 10.5, right? Like, you want both those things to be a part of your portfolio, but it's also just something we haven't quantified in the past, where ADP relative to projected points is basically our site's equivalent of price per dollar, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And then speaking to your Brian Robinson one, it kind of took me down this angle of where we port over the knowledge from that site. What is the chalk that's formulating on the other site? And there's not a ton of content out on it yet, but I've kind of done like my skinny shell for cash games and stuff like that. And I have a list of like who those players are. And one of them currently has an ADP inside of 15 at their position. Yeah. So now this is all because of salary and price point, but I just want to throw out a list of potential cash game build names outside of quarterback, because Justin Herbert will almost undoubtedly be the majority of cash game quarterback unless you're punting this week. But I want to just throw out this list of names that are not really getting drafted on our platform. That is kind of interesting. So Justin Herbert and J.K. Dobbins excluded from this list. I have a list that includes Sam Howell. I've seen him go once or twice. Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. We've seen Geno Smith go. I haven't seen anyone take Baker other than me. Joe, yeah, for maybe good reason.
No one's surprised.
Yeah. Jamal Williams, Deion Jackson, Cam Akers. I know Numi's big on the Cam Akers stuff. Khalil Herbert, your dog in the BBM streets. What if that Chicago game runs through anyone other than Fields, right? Like, who's the most likely candidate? And he's RB24 right now. Chris Godwin, Tyler Lockett, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Johan Dotson. I have so much trouble saying
Johnson and Dotson and Deontay Johnson back to back. You set yourself up for that.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Marlon Mims and Kalen Granson. Marvin Mims. Did I say Marlon?
Yeah, you got your one out of the way.
Yeah, I got one out of the way. Anyways, I was inspired by your list. I was inspired by looking at what potential cash game chalk might look like. And then I was inspired by your question. So I don't know. What do you think about this list? What do you think about some of the names the community contributed to your question of some of the most under-owned in week one?
Yeah, we got a lot of good answers on there. I was like really pleased to see everybody coming in with names that like, oh wow, like you're absolutely right. Like I was overlooking him and thank you. Now I'm going to draft him. So kind of crowdsourcing my player pool a little bit. But as far as your list goes, I will say, man, Howell at quarterback, I think makes a lot of sense this week. I mean, that's going to be super unique. I would be surprised if he is over 5% drafted when it's all said and done this week. Baker, I get it, right? I totally get it. But if I'm making a Tampa Bay bet, it's almost certainly the pass catchers and not Baker. But I totally understand that call. Jamal Williams for me is definitely probably my favorite out of this list. I'm not sure that the Titans are very good. And I think that we might be underrating the Saints. So this to me just looks like a smash spot for Jamal Williams and potentially, depending on Kendre Miller's availability, your boy Taysom as well.
Yeah. It's going to be no surprise to anybody that I have a lot of Taysom already. Part of it is the Kendre thing. Part of it is there's no better player that separates at the tight end position that you can run as a one-off, in my opinion. But I do like it's hard to look at defensive metrics as year over year. So I'm going to kind of save that maybe, but the Titans, they were a pass funnel last year, not run. So if any of that holds true for this year, maybe Michael Thomas is going a little overlooked comparative to, the Taysoms and the Jamal Williams as well. I don't know. I don't think he's cash game viable. This was the list was intended to be quote unquote cash game viable.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, here we go. Chad's already grinding the sheet. We got Jamal Williams at 5% and we got Taysom at 7% through our draft. So thank you everyone contributing draft boards there. Brian Robinson as well at 9%. Thank you, Chad. I didn't realize that Chad had already been working
That's
on
awesome.
that.
Crunching those boards. And that is such a big deal, right? To go from 9% of drafted to comparatively guys that are on 100% of lobbies. It's just, it is really a big deal. So these names that we're mentioning, the list goes on.
Nez, let's use that as a good reset for everyone. As we talk about 100% ownership in this contest, basically the first 3 rounds of players are going to be 100% owned, but the functionality of BRs is considerably different than traditional, salary-based DFS, where if a player is 40% owned on that platform, he is genuinely 40% owned, right? On this platform, if he's 100% owned, he's actually 16.66% owned. That's it, because he can only at a maximum rate be owned on 1 out of 6 teams, right?
Exactly.
So it's a good reset for everyone there, just, mentally, right?
Yeah, for sure. Which makes, taking chalk way easier to stomach, right? Like we don't have to worry. You don't have to fade Justin Jefferson just because he's the 101. He's not on 100% of teams. Like you said, he's only on 17% if you want to round up. So it is like a very unique factor to this. And rather than doing the math of like saying, well, he's 17%, we just call it 100. And then because I don't know the true percentage of teams, like what's 5% of 16% of 40,000? Like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
All I know is that it's small, and that's what I care about.
That's good. Let's keep rolling with some more names that came up from the tweet that you ran there, and maybe let's go position by position with guys that you are afraid that you're not getting to enough. Let's do the scariest fades by position, and then let's get, as we're doing that, let's get to some names like the scroll the F down guys that we would like to be getting more of right now.
Yeah. Good questions there. I think for me, and this will be a good answer for this, I will say, I am not getting a lot of Justin Herbert right now.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously I like Justin Herbert and I like the Chargers and I like this matchup. Like that is, I mean, there's nothing to not like there. But he's going in every single draft. And when it comes to ceilings, I am playing it more through the rushing QBs or through games that are stacked less, because Justin Herbert goes in every single draft and he's stacked in almost every single draft. So if I was to take Herbert, I would maybe do it through something unique, such as an Austin Eckler like Gerald Everett, or maybe Austin Eckler with a Miami run back on that. But I would probably do that without his 2 or 3 main pass catchers, just to get different if I do take Herbert. But yeah, I am light on him this week just because of where I am taking QB instead. And it's a lot of Lamar, Hurts, and Fields for me this week.
Lamar, Hurts, and Fields. Okay, I am somewhat in lockstep with you. I have done 35 drafts so far, so not massive yet. Austin Eckler is my highest owned player right now. Tyreek Hill is my second highest. Mark Andrews is my third. And then my fourth highest owned quarterback is Herbert. So kind of in the same vein as you, I am playing the Chargers predominantly through Eckler. I do have some exposure to Mike Williams at 22% now. I like Mike Williams more than I like Keenan Allen this week, just for the record. I don't know whether that's right or wrong. I like the ceiling of it. I like the price point of it comparatively. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I am playing that game in a similar fashion to you, where I'm kind of running mini stacks, like a 1-and-1 or 2 from the same side as an onslaught, and then stacking a different game or running naked Fields or naked Hurts with it.
Yeah, I think that's to me in a 13 game slate. I'm trying not to get too concentrated. Maybe here and there I'll do, something like a 3 teammates on one build, but predominantly I'm sticking to skinnies this week and trying to hit home runs and just try to get guys that score touchdowns with a little bit of correlation. And we haven't really talked about roster construction yet, but I'm also, not to like derail, but doing a little bit more 2 running backs, a lot more 2 running backs in my builds.
I think that's way more than the field, because the majority of the field, I'm seeing a lot of 1-1-3-1. We touched on that on Friday, how we kind of thought the carryover effect from BBM would be piss boy heavy, and especially people drafting early in this contest, comparative to like jamming at lock Sunday morning, the phone shitter bros. Yeah, it's been really piss boy heavy. Most people have been utilizing the flex that way. I have seen 0 bully tight end, not one of them yet.
Same.
The data will suggest that it's probably not the smartest move in the world, but it is a very, very easy path and quickest way to get unique there. Quarterback, Nez, actually, you want to just click the purple tab there for a second? First of all, are you scrolling the F down? B, if you are doing so, whom is it with, and what kind of like backstack pairings do you potentially like, and who's the weirdest quarterback you've drafted?
Great question. The weirdest quarterback that I've drafted so far is Sam, or maybe I would say Purdy's weirder than Howell. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, Purdy's probably weirder than Howell. I've seen a lot of Dotson plus Howell as like a skinny stack in the 5-6 range there. I've seen that like 3 or 4 times. I've done one Purdy. I've only done one. I haven't seen anyone else really do it.
Yeah, I've done one Purdy. I've done a Kirk Cousins, just one.
Yeah.
I guess I have 2 Kenny Pickett's. I don't know.
So on brand.
Who's surprised? And then I'm really big. Over half of my teams contain either Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson this week.
Okay. So you were really aping into the top end of quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially rushing upside.
Yeah, very much so this week in these matchups. I don't know if you remember, man, but there was times last year, like when these quarterbacks would smash, like their first round picks.
Yeah, for sure.
If they smash, they end up going really early. And it to me, I'm just trying to kind of get ahead of that meta. And and my favorite part about Justin Fields is the run back that you can get with Christian Watson. I've done 28 beat like main slates, and over half of my teams have Christian Watson on them.
Nice. I like that. I mean, yeah, you were touting the Christian Watson. Like, you want to talk about big playability in a good matchup in a game that could be a low key shootout. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Chad providing us some data here. Chipsy's saying he's done some bully tight end, yet the sample reflects 0. So, Chipsy, how about you feel free to contribute a draft board once or twice here? But Chad's data so far, it's only 44 drafts, obviously, asterisks, only 44, but 50-50 split at the flex position right now, 0 2 tight end builds. And evergreen question from Inthrius, there is a little hashtag thread in the Deposit Kingdom Discord within the Badge Bros channel that is labeled, Battle Royale week 1 draft boards, Battle Royale week 2 draft boards, like that sort of thing. You just go ahead and drop them in there. I know when you're doing multiple drafts at a time and stuff and the lobby disappears, it's hard to obtain them, but there is a share function built right into the app as to why we're allowed to do this. You literally just click that little square with the up arrow. You click there, then you click the Deposit Kingdom channel in 2 clicks and the board's there. So the reason why we're allowed to do it is it's literally built into the functionality of the app. Yeah. Anyways, so
do you want to keep moving on and
I'll finish quarterback here and then let's go to running back. Quarterback for me, guy I'm not getting to that I'm scared of that could bury me is Burrow. It feels like a really good game. Yeah. And, Higgins, if Burrow didn't have the Q tag, Higgins ADP would be way higher. I'm not entirely sure what to make of Mixon right now. But I feel it should just be like business as usual, and they don't have anyone really in that room to take much from him. So like maybe even like some 6th round minis of like Burrow and Mixon. We saw his target share spike hella last year, and without P Ryan there, I mean, maybe he just stays on the field for 3rd downs, and he is the guy who is the super closing line value that buries us all. Because we talked about like how high variance his range outcomes were from suspension to out of the league to maybe league winner if his usage of last year comes over. So I'm a little scary that I don't have enough Burrow this week. I'm over the field on Geno for sure. And my weirdest scroll the F down so far, I guess, would be Baker then. Baker, yeah. I've done Baker, I've done Purdy, and I have done Matthew Stafford once. So there's that.
Yeah, those are definitely weird. Baker is definitely weird. For me, it's hard for me to get weird at QB comparative to the other positions, but totally respect your commitment to the Brady doubles bit there. You made a really good point with this Bengals and Browns game. It is the 2nd highest point total on the slate. Mm-hmm. And these guys do not really get drafted like it other than Jamar Chase and Nick Chubb, of course. You go on the Brown side of things, and these guys are relatively undrafted, very low percentage on both ends of the ball there. And it seems like this is anytime I got an answer from one of these teams, I was like, yeah, this is a really good point. This could end up being a little bit of a shootout, even though it feels gross, like NFC North divisional battle. Like it's the Browns. They want to run a lot, but there's definitely some sneaky plays in this game, even as far as like Elijah Moore or DPJ.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with it. Nick throwing out in the chat doing the Watson plus Njoku. I mean, that's pretty sharp because you get a quarterback who's like QB9 and you get a tight end that's like tight end 9. When people think about scrolling the F down, and first time viewer Shane here asking how we do uniqueness and what's the easiest way, and Blake doing the Lord's work telling him scroll the F down. This is one way to do so because we don't want to fall into chalky patterns with our scroll downs either, even though they're low owned plays. If you think about Amari Cooper right now, okay, let's say Amari Cooper is, I'll just throw out some numbers, right or wrong. He's 12% owned. That's too high. He's 8% owned, okay, in the entirety of this contest, let's call it. Then we factor in, well, how many of those are going to be paired to Deshaun Watson? Probably 7.6% of them. Or how many are they going to be utilized as a run back off of Jamar Chase? Well, probably 6.3% of them. And now you keep pigeonholing the build. The further you go down the rabbit hole, nobody's just going like, hey, fuck it, Amari Cooper one-off, right? So if you want to deviate but make the same bet, well, how about a guy who could break the slate in 2 throws in DPJ? You know what I mean? Like he has low-key MVS vibes written all over him where he could go 485 and 2 and break the slate wide open, right? Yeah. Just thinking through these back-end patterns, even when we're scrolling down, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's really important to consider, is the combination of which these guys are like who are they typically drafted alongside. Definitely something worth considering. Not to say that building out a Watson and Njoku mix-in is bad. Just know that like that's when people get unique in this game, they are usually tacking on some of those players, but it's going to be so low owned at the end of the day that like it's probably not too strongly worth like sweating over, but just something to be aware of.
Yeah, just thought process. Let's do running back, Nez, who I alluded to, Austin Eckler being my highest owned. I'm currently taking him over Christian McCaffrey. I think the target floor is just so safe. He had about 7 targets per game last year, Christian McCaffrey. Since going to San Francisco was a little bit lower than that. It was like 6 point something. Still the elite of the elite, CMC and Eckler for me. But Eckler is currently my highest owned. And then I have been doing kind of, I don't really care who my next one is. Let's just get unique or use it as like bring backs or scroll down in the spot unless I can pair these two together. How are you feeling about running back?
Running back, I am really mixing it up quite a bit with my exposures. There's a lot of spots that I think are just like really intriguing. So I am like scrolling down a decent amount. I think as far as like my scariest fade right now it's Josh Jacobs. I'm concerned about the lack of time, getting to play with his new quarterback. I'm worried about the time spent away from the team. I'm worried about the Broncos with Sean Payton. Are they actually going to be a good defense? Is this something that they could just completely just shut Jacobs down? I'm worried about this first game. So I am passing over Josh Jacobs to get guys like Ken Walker. I am taking a lot of Kenneth Walker. He's the RB10 on the slate. He's probably drafted like around like 80% of rooms, but it's still the fact that he's not like one of the chalk running backs makes me very into him against the Rams. Like I think that they could absolutely smash. And like we mentioned Jamal Williams, I am doing the Jamal Williams thing. And a sneaky play, I guess you could say, at running back 14, Alexander Madison is a guy that I am taking quite a bit of against the Bucs. I'm just thinking the Bucs aren't that good. This Minnesota Vikings team should smash, and why not take the newly crowned RB1 in a pretty he's got the monopoly on that backfield, man. He seems like he is going to have a very strong snap share. So that's what I'm doing instead of Josh Jacobs there. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm in lockstep with you with Jacobs. I am very scared about, like, even though the holdout and all that sort of thing, I'm very scared of him returning to like a full workload, even though he's back kind of deal. Although we did see this last year where he had a Q tag all week, didn't look like he was going to play, and then he came out and broke a slate against Seattle. I am very scared that he could be a guy who buries me, but I currently have one Josh Jacobs share in my 35 drafts. So I am in lockstep with you on that one. Kind of scared that Derrick Henry could just come out and be Derrick Henry and bury my ass too, though I have a little bit more than him. And some of my favorite scroll the F down ones are playing different games through other players. So playing that high total game like Miami and the Chargers, but playing it through Mostert, or playing the high total game of Cleveland and Cincinnati and playing it through Mixon. So I think currently Mostert and Mixon are my two, like, same as you, like your Kenneth Walker and Madison is my Mostert and Mixon. I've been doing a little bit of Pierce, but being very cognizant of the fact that the majority of people that are doing it do it as a run back off of Lamar and Andrews. So I've actually been doing it as a 6th round one-off, just to be like, hey, that game plays a different way, goes through a different script, and he's actually the guy you need from that game environment.
Yeah, those are pretty good shots. I mean, there's a lot of really interesting running backs on this slate, which is just making me want to just get unique, like, more and more, as opposed to opting for the chalk that we see. Like I mentioned, Brian Robinson, I am taking him. That wasn't just for the tweet and for the bit. I am into that. And I think you could say the same thing on the other side of the ball for James Conner. This is a rookie QB over, or not a rookie, but it's his second game starting ever in Sam Howell. This could be turnover city, and James Conner could end up scoring 3 touchdowns this game. Like it's not crazy to think about. What I'm not sure of is why Zach Evans has an ADP.
It's weird that Sean Tucker, Zach Evans, and Travion Williams have ADPs. It's kind of weird. So I don't know what's up with that.
That's wild.
Two other names that I kind of want to bring up back there. I think Deion Jackson could get some big steam over the course of this week. I don't know how far he could rise. But as we alluded to earlier, Herbert, Jackson, and Javonte Williams are 3 scroll the F down guys for me.
Yeah, I really like those shots. I need to get a little bit more Herbert. My bags are just so packed in best ball that I'm like hardly even looking his way in BRs, but he represents a really nice pick this week for me.
Good shout from Matt here in the chat that Piran should definitely have an ADP. That could be fun. I have not done any Penny yet. I have done Swift, and the reason I've done Swift is because I've paired it through the passing game. I've actually done Swift plus Hurts as a way to get contrarian with my Hurts stuff.
I like that a lot. We don't know what they're going to do with Swift in the backfield this year. So it'll be interesting to see if they do end up like throwing to the running back more. Also important to note, the push play is not banned. So
right, yeah,
what is stopping Jalen Hurts from rushing for rushing
push,
over 10 touchdowns
baby.
again?
Yeah, exactly. Let's go with wide receiver here. Who is your highest owned right now? Who could bury us, and who is your scroll the F down? I alluded to Tyreek Hill being my highest owned right now. Who is yours, Nez?
Mine is Christian Watson. Like I'd mentioned, he's over 50% for me right now. I take him in run backs. I take him naked. If Dubs is like truly not playing this week, give me all the Christian Watson with like what is surrounding that team. And hopefully Justin Fields forces them to push the pace a little bit, and they need to play a little catch up there. Even if he doesn't, I just think Christian Watson has the ability to like you mentioned, that big play ability and the lack of targets there. I'm really into him in a BR. And then after that, it's Tyreek Hill for me as well. And it's like the same bet. It's like the same thesis. I mean, obviously not the the lack of targets there because Waddle is still there, of course, but it's Tyreek Hill, man. I don't really need to remind the people what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. You alluded to something that's good there. We obviously have no practice report stuff yet, and it's already like 40% filled out here. But some practice report stuff we'll be monitoring this week would be the Dubs one, the Scary Terry one, the I imagine Waddle and T. Higgins will be limited in practice the first day, but I don't necessarily think it'll be indicative of their playing status, but I do expect them both to be limited. Cooper Kupp, I expect a DNP for the first 2 days of the week. Yeah, for sure there. Traylon and JSN. I bet you JSN gets some limited practices in this week and is closer than we think, but he sits.
I agree. Sense. I think he comes back maybe week 2 at the earliest. I do think he's going to get those good practice reps in because, he doesn't have to take hard hits, but I can't imagine they throw him out there for a real game in week 1. If they do, congrats to the people that bought the dip. Yeah.
And then there's other ones that I was thinking of was Devontae Parker. Actually, like they rested. I know Rudman threw out the what if Kendrick Bourne is the guy you need tweet. There's some legitimacy to potentially being this week. They sat him in all the preseason games. They really like him. We saw him be one of Mac Jones's favorite targets in the past. If you're looking to shoot the moon in like a run back in that, why am I blanking?
The Eagles-Pats?
Eagles game. Like there's not a better way to do it. Like Ramondre is probably the chalk way to do it, but like, one-off Juju as like a run back off of Andrews or Bourne. I've seen dumber ideas than just trying something like that, trying to catch like 2 scores, lightning in a bottle that way. And then Burks was the other one that I had on my list. Oh, and Jerry Jeudy too. So that leads me to one of my favorite Scroll the F Down guys right now has been Cortland Sutton, who I've brought up on every show for the last 3 BR shows.
Yeah, no, Sutton feels really nice, especially if Judy is out. Sutton is going to be really a really good click. Not really sure like what to make of this Raiders defense, but I'm gonna probably target them until they show me otherwise. We kind of we don't really with defense is definitely like one of the most like unknown things right now. And
we just don't know, Nez. We just don't know.
We just don't, as a great philosopher once said. And so just kind of like pick your spots until a team shows you otherwise that hey, you should be fearful. And this, I'm really excited to see what the new look Broncos do.
This is pretty good.
Portland Warner, that does kind of.
It's got a good name to it. Yeah,
kind of rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, any guys scroll the F down names. Tell me if you agree with some of these ones that I've been looking at. I think Lockett is underpriced because everybody's playing that game through DK.
Yeah.
Debo as a scroll down guy who can just break a slate on his lonesome if he gets 2 end around carries and 4 targets. That's all he needs to break a slate. So I've been clicking his name a decent amount. Drake London, Bateman probably underdrafted when playing. Everybody's playing that game. I've seen Zay Flowers go a couple times, I guess, but everyone's just playing that game so concentrated through Lamar, Andrews, and Dobbins that there's no reason to think Bateman can't be the guy to get you there. So I've been mixing him in. Any other scroll the F down guys for you, Nez?
You named some really good ones off the rip. Like I think Christian Watson still counts as a scroll the F down. I know 33, he's climbing, but I get him in the 6th like frequently. These Tampa Bay receivers, you had mentioned Baker Mayfield. I think when it comes to getting one-off receivers, Godwin and Evans are really, really nice bets this week. Everyone, including our beloved Numi, tells us that the Minnesota secondary sucks. So this is a team that is likely in Tampa Bay, likely needing to pass this week. So these two, I think, represent like really nice plays as far as their skill level and game environment that we are projecting for them and the matchups.
Couldn't you just see Godwin being like 8, 80, and 1 and just being like so fucking boring, but he scores 22 points and he's just like the 6th rounder you needed to tack on to like your Miami stack or something. Your Miami and Chargers bet just needed, oh, it looked like it was so good. I had all these builds and I had Damian Pierce in the last round. I had Kenneth Walker in the last round. I had all these builds, but I never just like added boring ass Chris Godwin to the list.
Yeah, no, he definitely seems like the type to crack that in the 6th round. Like I don't want guys that can kill me. It doesn't seem like he's gonna kill you, but I don't know. Like maybe I could be totally underestimating it. One of my favorite scroll the Fdowns though is Van Jefferson. With
like that shout.
Yeah, with Cooper Kupp likely not playing, him and Higbee represent like 2 really good plays, but Higbee is seemingly drafted a lot. He's the tight end 6 right now, so consider it sneaky. Maybe he's actually more like 50%, maybe 51% drafted in every lobby. But Van Jefferson, man, is like the same bet, but way less owned. And they're probably going to pass. He has some rapport with Matt Stafford. I'm into Van this week here and there.
Yeah, I like that shout. And I mean, like, he's not the big sexy tool that like big shiny new tool like Puka is or stuff like this. So people are less apt to click his name, but like professional wide receiver and Stafford knows his name, right? So maybe, I mean, he could be the WR1 this week, right? One cautionary tale with that is you might get a lot of swaps that if his projection boosts with Kupp out, and like Kupp is a game time decision and then gets the out tag before the afternoon. This is kind of gal brain, but it's out tag before the afternoon and he becomes the default swap for people. You lose your leverage. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
Presumably people won't have that in like Seattle run back builds or stuff like that. But just one thing to think through. Some good shouts in the chat here. Doing a little Russ skinny here. I've got one of those in the bag, but yeah, I've seen stranger ideas. How about professional wide receiver Joshua Palmer just running in 3 wide receiver sets, coming out here and ruining everybody's Herbert plus Allen, Herbert plus everything bags with 2 scores in this game? I mean,
you know how happy that would make me.
God bless, baby. Me too.
Man, that would be hard to not let a tweet fly if Josh Palmer catches a touchdown on Sunday. I don't know that I can contain myself.
Hashtag follow the money for Chipsy here, where you want to play that same in-game environment, not through Zay Flowers, not through Bateman, but you just go, hey, how about Odell? They paid him all this money, and now he's the biggest leverage piece. Christopher suggesting Pittman, potential downfield threat for AR's first game. Rashad White maybe has nobody to compete with him in that backfield. All of a sudden finds his way to 6 receptions and 15 carries versus that putrid Minnesota defense. The check downs all go his way.
Yeah.
Higbee's already at 45% in our sample. So maybe something that we thought was sneaky, not as sneaky, and we should be getting to that Jefferson, as you alluded to. Yeah, there you go.
Pretty good segue into the tight ends, though, since he's like the tight end 6. It seems kind of hard to scroll down at tight end, or at least it's what it kind of seems like. There's a strong concentration to this top 5 here. And I mean, understandably, right? These guys go really, really early in BBM. They, for the most part, have decent matchups, but I think you can be very, very well served to scroll down at tight end. Do you have any favorites other than?
So my ownership reflects the sentiment in what you just said, because I am all over Mark Andrews, even if he's not paired with Lamar. And actually, I somewhat prefer him not paired with Lamar for what it's worth, because I feel it'll be a more contrarian path to getting home. Unless you can do it in the 2nd and 3rd round opposed to the 1st and 2nd round. But I'm kind of scared that Kyle Pitts could bury me, because I have 0% Kyle Pitts right now. I have just been, which is weird for the guys who were drafting Kyle Pitts in the 6th and 7th round, a shitload. But we got some kind of bearish reporting news there. Levitan retweeted it today, where, some bearish beat reporter news thinking he might be 4th in his own team in pecking order for targets. And I mean, he's the kind of guy that can, pop off at any given moment for like, 570 and 2. But we haven't seen it in a long time. So I've been kind of skittish, and I've actually been just doing a lot of stacking, more so than usual, at the tight end position this week. I've just been back stacking a lot. Those Herbert teams, a lot of them I just tack on Everett. I've been doing basically the only comfortable tight ends only tight ends I'm comfortable as one-offs are the first 3. And then everybody else, even Goddard, I've been stacking. And then Taysom.
Yeah, Goddard makes a lot of sense to stack since AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are almost like always there for the Hurts drafter. I think that's a great way to get different is ignore Brown and Devontae Smith and go Goddard and say Goddard is the one that scores the touchdowns with this.
Yeah. Jewish McCaffrey brings up a really good point in the chat here. It would be nice. Kittle's another guy that's going to be stock watch this week as well. It would be very important to know if he was playing there because it makes the price tag more palatable, right?
Yeah, I didn't know that he was potentially not playing. So that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not playing might be pretty far, but I expect Q tags the first 2 days of practice and a DNP, then an LP, and hope it's an LP the second day. So, yeah.
One of the tight ends for me, if I may take a turn, is little Cole Kmetski this week. I think I've tweeted about it a bunch. I've got a lot of pending pick'em entries for DJ Moore and Justin Fields. So like I'm all set on that stack. If it hits, I'll take my winnings and pick them. However, with the tight end stack, I mean, we see it a lot in the data. And it's not a lot of samples as far as, because we're looking at first place in the BRs. There's very few of those. So you don't want to like get survivor's bias, but stacking the tight end is very, very, very beneficial in these contests. So what seems like a really fun way to do that this week is getting the QB3 or 4, I guess. And instead of doing what most people are doing and stacking with DJ Moore or maybe running him naked, get Cole Kmet in there and then, say, oh yeah, I'm beating all the elite tight ends. Cause Cole Kmet being the tight end 12 is really interesting to me. I did not think he would be this far down the tight end ADP. So this is something that I really want to have a part of. And of course I am running it back quite a bit with Christian Watson, but I will do it without that as well.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he's a guy who I've mixed in a couple times, never as a one-off, only stacked with Fields basically. But we saw it last year. He won 2 slates by himself, like that tandem of him and Fields. He was the guy you needed, right? Because the path to failure at tight end is so much higher than any other position, right? Where if Mark Andrews doesn't break the slate or Hawk doesn't break the slate, I mean, you can basically have a roster that has 6 points from your tight end position and be totally fine. But if Cole Kmet goes for 2 touchdowns and he's the only tight end who goes for 2 touchdowns, I mean, you're lapping the field. So just getting away with like winning contrarian ways to win the onesie position, especially at tight end, is something we'll hammer home over and over again. Dan asking in the chat what we think Hawk plus Andrews will be. I think it'll be less than 5%. The data on these larger sample slates on 6-person rosters is really reflects the fact that pairing bully tight end isn't great, but then no one is doing it. So there's leverage there by doing so. So I mean, definitely something to entertain. If you start with like a Lamar Andrews and then Hawk falls to like the 4th, maybe the 5th, and you can swing that, kind of worth it. Neil, our guy, asking if we're chasing the live final, and you damn straight we are, man. We want to go party in Miami with the good people underdog. I want to hoist that check. Good segue there, Nez. Should we just jump into draft here?
Yeah. Do you want to do a live final, or you want to do a main slate?
Let's get our feet wet with the 6 first, and then close her out with a big dog.
Yeah, I like that call. I mean, right now, since it's the only way to draft a 12-person lobby, I've been really enjoying doing that just because it's fun to draft 12-person teams. I think it kind of forces you to scroll down and draft those unique players that maybe you normally wouldn't. So
Mhm.
I am chasing the hell out of it. That one is filling a lot slower, so there is a potential that this doesn't fill, and it becomes really advantageous to get in on that. I mean, we'll see. There's a lot of time till
Yeah.
Sunday, but
I think it's an amazing concept, and I think there's twofold why it's not filling as fast. I think people low key don't understand fully how much money is at stake and the prize structure of it. I think it'd be very advantageous to add the live final money to the thumbnail,
yeah,
just so people are fully aware. I know it's in a tweet, so all the sickos have seen the tweet and that sort of thing, but I think like Joe Schmo flipping through on his phone in the lobby just kind of sees, well, this doesn't make much sense that, I'm only getting 10,000 for the top 3 here. Well, yeah, there's 200,000 on top of that up for grabs in a 36-person final. So I think that really needs to slap recreational users in the face
I agree.
to be like, hey, like, look at this. I think that's one big component of it. The other thing is there's still just so much BBM weekly winners and other stuff to still go through in 12-team drafts. So people are still filling that as it goes, right?
Yeah, and even when you factor in, so let's make this pick here, and then I have some more thoughts to share. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so we can try to chase the Lamar Andrews.
Yeah, I'm
We
cool
have
with
these.
that or Eckler.
Yeah,
That's basically been my move all week.
let me check my Eckler exposure, real quick. Yeah, let's go Eckler. I only have 4 Eckler teams right now,
Mm-hmm.
and then we can get unique later. So I
One
know that. Go
one
ahead.
thing I want to address before we do that.
Yeah.
Chip saying that the 30% rake doesn't help. It's not 30% rake because it's contributed to the amenities to put on the event, right? So making a live final, you recoup that value. It appears like 30% rake on the surface to like the average user who doesn't make a live final, but like the reason it appears that way is because of what it's going to pay for in the future, right? I just want to be really clear about that.
Well, yeah, it's 30% in prizes, but also they are comping like a flight and a hotel. So I mean, like if you were
Yes.
to factor in that into the rake, it would then take the rake down. I get it. If this isn't your type of contest that,
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of rake and like on the surface as far as the prize pool goes and only 3 out of 30, like I get that if that's like not your thing, but there's no doubt about it that the live final is going to be sick. I mean, at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. Uh okay.
So we ended up going with Eckler. It looks like Andrews got sniped there anyways. Oh, he did the Lamar Andrews thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead, make this one. What's your move here, Nez?
So for me, it might be Bijan.
Sure.
I'm just so into
He's a guy
them.
who could bury me.
Yeah, and to me, man, like I've been on the bandwagon of the Panthers defense being young and being exciting, and like, hey, this could be the year that finally clicks. I'm gonna need them to show it to me first, and if that could very well not be the case, and this could end up being just like, wow, like what a sick way for Bijan to debut, and it turns out the Panthers defense, just like the rest of the team and the way that they project on the whole as a team, they're just not good. And Bijan
Mm-hmm.
Robinson goes off, and we're talking 2 touchdowns, 100 yards on the ground. That could very well be what he does, and that would be very important to winning in this contest. So I want Bijan this week.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I can get on board with the narrative for sure. It's scary to be underweight as talented a player with such a large opportunity or perceived opportunity as Bijan for me right now. But I'm leaning more to the other side of the coin that you alluded to, that I think the Panthers defense actually might be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if he somehow, his first NFL game, I know they probably want to showcase it, right? This was our first round pick. This is the guy who's going to help turn this franchise around, blah, blah, blah. And then, Arthur Smith wants to establish the fuck out of it. But I think there's a clearer path for him going 15 touches, 3 carries, 80 yards, 15 touches or 15 carries, 3 receptions, 85 yards on the ground, 15 through the air and no score. Like, I think there's a clearer path to that than him being the guy I need in the second round right now.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I am fading the FUD.
Yeah, fair
Fading
enough.
the FUD. Yeah, I just Bijan Robinsons don't just come every draft.
Yeah.
Like he's I'm betting on him being transcendent.
Yeah, you want to be the guy who's early to the party on that guy. What do we got at the top of the queue there? It's really hard for me to see on this shit laptop.
Devontae Adams, Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, and the guy that I'm going to draft no matter what you say, Justin Fields.
Sure. The one thing I would say is that there's been 4 quarterbacks taken already, and there's a quarterback to our right already gone. So you could take Waddle as a mini stack and then hope that Fields comes back.
Okay. Let's see it.
I mean, if you want to build super teams in these lobbies, you have to think through decisions like this where you push shit. I don't know what Nick has at the end there. He might very well just go like Fields and DJ Moore or something like that. Who do you start with?
He has CMC, Nick Chubb, and now he has Devontae Adams, and he is taking Justin Fields. So good job, Nick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, force me to get a little unique then. Why don't you?
Yeah. I mean, push you outside your comfort zone too. I mean, like, this is what I mean. Like these lobbies and stuff, especially a sharp room like this, like you gotta like push the envelope to get unique combinations with like those stud guys. I can't really see. Let's build out. You could do backdoor Geno. You could get even weirder than that. We could do backdoor Sam Howell and do like a mini stack. Take Dotson here. I think I'm just down.
I think I'm gonna continue to just build out this Chargers game. To be honest, I don't have a lot of Tua, so if I play that the Jalen Waddle is catching the touchdowns with Tua, we can do that with the run back there. I don't typically do a big run back like that, but I honestly have, like I said, man, I haven't been targeting this game a lot because I know other people have. So let me try to get my my equity in on this game, and then I'll just call it an exposure in the portfolio, and then I won't have to worry about it. So we can get kind of unique at tight end.
I mean, if I did that right now, I would contrarian pair quarterback and tight end, and I would leave that game alone. Like I wouldn't add Tua to this. You know what I mean?
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's just the QB tight end pairings at this point are questionable, but I've done it before with some names here. So
you could do like Lawrence and Evan Ingram is pretty like chalky, but there could do that. You could do the Watson thing that we alluded to earlier. Watson
and Njoku is interesting with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Actually really wow, this is a GM. Mason's in this draft with us right now from the 5-hole there. He started off with an Eckler Chase this morning.
That's a hell of a GM. That's a hell of a GM.
6th round Fields. That's beautiful. Like some of those teams where 5 quarterbacks go and you're left with like the quarterback that you want who falls. That's legit. What are you thinking? You want to do the Tua thing? You could do Tua and Smythe too. Nobody's going to touch Durham Smythe.
I don't know if I want to do that. I think this might be the move. I don't know if I have a Deshaun and Njoku yet.
Sure.
I think this might be the move.
Take the tight end first. I mean, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to take him, but
hey, it does. You gotta stick to our principles.
Yeah. Take the tight end first.
Yeah. Whoa,
paid with a Hill Chase. I have not seen a Hill Chase, but just an evergreen comment about this stuff. Like you're going to see these crazy combos and stuff like this from everyone. We talked about the GM off the top. I've been a huge proponent of like, unless there's clear collusion, no draft ever gets thrown out in any sport. The site rules are 1%ers can be thrown out, or if they deem collusion in a draft. These combinations are going to exist, and it's why we advocate for Scroll the F Down so much, because if everything goes to ADP right now, and the 2 best plays on the slate actually are Jefferson and Hill or Chase and Hill or something like this, well, everybody's drawing dead to that team if he's filled it out in a logical manner, right? Like if they both put up 30 burgers, like there's very little chance of coming back from that, right? So it's the way in which you give yourself paths to coming back from that is getting unique from the jump and doing something like Nez just did, where you pair tight end 9 with quarterback 9 with a very chalky 4-person start. Like, it It looks good on paper. It looks smart, but like everyone and their dog has this start that Nez cooked up in the first 4 picks, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we see it a lot. Like Hope was sharing it last night on her stream. Like she showed like 2 lineups where she'd missed first by like 1 player, and it was the difference of tens of thousands of dollars because of like one difference in a lineup.
Yeah, we could go through all of our samples last year and show shit like that where it's like, we're off by fractions of points. That's the difference in these games, right? But the easiest way to make up that gap is unique points. Yeah. Like as soon as we get reminded of what a sweat looks like again, when we're all looking at that BR leaderboard at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we're like, hey, do we have a chance without one of these afternoon games popping off? Do we have minutes remaining? Stuff like that. I mean, it's going to really, everybody's going to be taken back and just being like, yeah, why didn't I just put Debo as my last player in instead of just over and over again clicking insert player who goes every single draft in the last pick, Chris Olave.
Yep.
Like, why didn't I just put in 1 Debo so now I'm live in the afternoon or whatever?
Pretty interesting team there from Masshole. Like very well correlated. Some run backs there. Like it's interesting to play Henry and Hopkins in that same lineup like that. I like it. And then Nick doing the Fields Komet. What I like about this,
where do you get your ideas, Nick? Where do you get your ideas?
What I love about what I'm seeing here, no Christian Watson.
Ooh, just making you feel good and cushy about it, huh?
Dude, it's really surprising to me. It really surprises me. We'll see though. We'll see. That could blow up in my face. What do you say we do a dog bowl?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go.
I think, say what you will about live finals, and if people aren't striving to go there, Baby Stevie, shout out to him in the chat there, alluding to the fact that Baby Stevie is in fact having a baby. I can't remember where it was. Yeah. Big shouts there. That's why he can't attend the live final. So that's not why he's doing it. But one thing I will just say about any of the 12-person formats that get drafted on the site is it does really reset your perspective on the 6-person ones. If you just bang out 26-person drafts in a row and you're chasing like the optimal, or you're chasing like GMs and stuff like that, like just take a step back, do one 12-person draft and gain your perspective on the entirety of the slate. Because if you just draft the same 36 players over and over again, like you have tunnel vision to like what's going on in the slate. There are so many teams and so many games that could pop off this week. Like we just don't know, right?
Yeah, it's really important to remember range of outcomes and and if you want to, depending on how you choose to look at range of outcomes, whether like you're a median projection bro or what have you, in those 6-person lobbies, the way that ownership, drafted percentage, however, whatever you want to call it, the way that is distributed is not going to line up with the range of outcomes that these players have. It's just not. And it doesn't necessarily mean that those low owned guys are always going to win for you. It's not. We only have 17 slates, but the leverage it offers you is like, it's a DFS dream, man. Like we talk about a lot of the time, these, the salary site bros and wanting to, do things the right way. Like you can bring those principles over here and like not kill and not be dead on arrival.
Right. Like honestly, if you run a double stack right now of like Baker, Godwin, and Evans, for instance, like I'm just using it as an example. You could use any other double stack you want. Russ, Mims, and Cortland Sutton. Like just use something like that. Tyreek Hill is our favorite play on the slate. Tyreek Hill and Waddle with those 2 doubles. The expected ROI on them getting home. Here, I'll let you make the pick here.
Okay, this is where like it gets interesting. I like the QBs that we can get later. I think this is just like Austin Eckler. I mean,
okay.
I mean,
Eckler more than Chase. Yep.
Yeah, I do personally.
Me too.
Oh boy, what's going on over there?
Nothing.
Oh, you had some. I heard some beeps.
I didn't.
What? Jon, are you okay?
I actually didn't. I was just so focused on your Austin Eckler pick.
Yeah, sorry for the boring content. We are indeed going with the the best projected running back on the slate in Austin Eckler, and I can't take CMC against my Stillers, man. I just can't.
Yeah, but just to close the thought on like, yeah, we're talking about like these double stacks and stuff like this, like the Brady doubles and whatever. It's a running joke that I went back to the well so many effing times last year. It's like we talk about it all the time in baseball. Like we got Coors on the slate, we got something like that. The percentage in which that stack hits is like 18 to 20% at like the, at its ceiling. And that's an absolute insane threshold for a 13-game slate. That still means it fails 80% of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a 13-game NFL slate with the baked-in variance. And then you have to think about if that stack does hit and it's the one you need in that 20% frequency, well, you also have to have it in the perfect combination. That could be, the 9-hole hitter mixed in with the 5-hole hitter and whatever. In football terms, that could literally mean that the slate that runs the game hits the total and it breaks the slate and whatever. And it could be Joshua Palmer, Austin Eckler, and Herbert with a Durham Smythe as a 2-touchdown. Like that is range of outcomes here and nobody fucking drafts it, right? So, I mean, I'm not advocating for like necessarily going like so insane, but we just really have to think through range of outcomes with these 6-person rosters because we have to get a lot perfect, not a lot right.
Exactly. And I think to like put that into like week 1 terms, the Lamar Andrews being like the nutted stack, making yourself take a Lamar Odell or a Lamar Bateman or Flowers instead of that Andrews. And even if that means, I mean, you can tell yourself I won't ever pass up Lamar Andrews. That's fine. And then like if that stack doesn't get to you, then like you pivot only when you have to. I don't know if that's right or wrong to like tell yourself in a lobby like, hey, I am getting unique this time. Maybe when it's Sunday and for a fact that you don't have that combination, you can do that then. But in my opinion, it's definitely important to think through the ways people are building out these chalk players, specifically the QBs.
Yeah, and there's definitely like rooms and times, as you alluded to, for when doing this is optimal. Like if I look up and I see 5 non-Badgers and screen names that I don't recognize and stuff, well, I'm probably going to chase the chalk and just hope they don't know what the chalk is in that situation. If we get into this lobby and I see McCaffrey, Nick, Inthrius, Brett Boy, like I see Wu-Tang Killer Bees, I see all these names that we know that are, not going to make egregious mistakes. Well, these are the lobbies in which we got to be thinking through some contrarian paths, right?
Yeah. Sorry. I got a notification on my phone and it was like, it's a baseball notification, but
what do we got?
Julio Urias arrested.
Yeah. I liked Julio. Was it for something bad?
It's a repeat offense.
Dang.
Yeah. So rip to him. He's definitely out of here. Like legitimately, man, like strike 2, like there's no strike 3 for.
Is it domestic violence? Oh,
yeah.
What a fucking asshole.
Yep. But anyways, for the pennant drafters, no more Julio Urias for your Dodgers.
Well, that makes their rotation really interesting because Walker Buehler's on the rehab assignment. He pitched really well last night. I mean, yeah, Walker Buehler is like the sneakiest pennant 10th rounder right now you can get. But that solidifies Bobby Miller's rotation spot. So like
He's
Kershaw, Miller, Lynn, Buehler. I mean, that's pretty nasty.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That makes yeah. No, seriously. Like they're just a factory. All right. Let's see what we got available to us. I'm not trying to speak.
Sure. Yeah. Give me a little scroll too. Let me see.
Sure. And there goes Justin Fields. Okay.
There goes your guy. Hey, you're hell bent on getting Fields this week, eh?
Oh,
yeah. Very, very interesting Warren Sharp tweet yesterday about the efficiency of the Bears in scripted offense, their first series, and how they were the highest frequency of scoring touchdowns on their first series of games last year. They're so good when scripted, and then when it's like off book and they're live play calling, they were like the 26th best offense or something. So
That's impressive.
Yeah.
All right. I think DK went. Yeah, I'm really interested in that Geno stack. I don't think I want to go QB here, so I'm gonna just pull up our flex positions. I do like Dobbins a lot, I will say.
Yeah, I think go for it then. I think the depth at running back is considerably deeper than wide receiver this week, so I've been back clicking running backs.
I agree with what you said there, so I go ahead. I went and just took Christian Watson.
Yeah, I think you could get weird and run. Like, we're also trying to like shoot the moon and come in the top 3 to win a live final. Like, that has to be part of our process in doing these. So I do think like scrolling down and finding some like contrarian pairings is pretty huge in this contest in particular. So I mean, you still need the guys you need, but if we just paint this narrative as like Austin Eckler is the guy you need, now just pick like 3 guys in the 30s. I mean, maybe a Love Skinny is the way you get home with a Herbert bring back or a Cole Kmet bring back.
Yeah, we'll have options for sure. I mean, I think QB is a little. I mean, it's not like deep, so to speak, but I can make anything work.
I would advocate for wide receiver here, either being someone who can win a slate on his own or someone who's back stackable, opposed to run backable. So like for me right now, my eyes heavily gravitate towards Debo or Tyler Lockett or Dotson, because you can backstack as well. T. Higgins, if people just let the Burrow fall.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I think I'm Ken Walker.
Go for it, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna do these like 2 chalky running backs.
Yep. Christian
Watson smashes, and then we'll find a stack from here. Sure. I don't know. I kind of just think about these 12-man contests like from last year, and thinking about game environments and just trying to just nail these game environments. And to me, Ken Walker running all over the Rams just seems like written in stone. I don't know. It really does feel like a stone cold chalk lock. I'm
pretty scared
for me. You are.
Yeah.
What's scary about it for you?
DMP at practice this week. I think that's what we're gonna end up getting something like scary. I think it's gonna be like DMP for the first day for sure. Then I don't know. I don't see it as.
I thought he was practicing already.
Yeah, he was, but like limited capacity and whatnot. I just don't see it as clear as that. I could see like something weird with the backfield where he's just not 100% yet. You know, Sharps mix in a bit. DJ Dallas, they like on third downs. He finds his way to like 8 carries. They run this through the pass game.
Did you just say 8 carries for DJ Dallas?
No, 8 carries for Ken. Like they run all 3 backs, and then he only ends up with like 8 carries.
I guess we'll see.
Dude, you got to see this. Look at this.
What is going on out there? Let me go full screen. Hold on. Wait.
He is that's 100-pound lapdog just lying on top of Nicky.
That's amazing. That's your boy.
Oh my God, what a zoo. I looked over and I was like, yeah, I didn't expect to see that.
That's your boy, man. That's the life.
Good boy. That's funny.
All right, let me pull up this draft board here. One of the reasons I went running back too is I anticipated a pretty strong run at running back to take place before our next pick. And I'm pretty well packed in like Brian Robinson bags and these late RB bags. So I wanted to mix it up there with that.
Okay. How many of these have you done so far?
I've done, let me refresh here. I think I'm at 6 live final drafts so far. So just like one a night, just like chipping away, sitting down, seeing what I can roll. But I've been doing a lot of Alexander Madison in the late round there.
I mean, if his role looks anything like the dress rehearsal role, but where they use Ty Chandler, I mean, sky's the limits if he stays on the field for all 3 downs. Miles Gaskin doesn't really scare me, them bringing him in.
No.
Yeah. And Dwayne McBride's just like not a factor anymore.
Right. I mean, he's literally on the practice squad.
Yeah.
So we don't really have to worry about that at all.
Mhm.
It does just seem like a pretty like we're very skeptical on it, but it could very well be like Occam's razor. Like, what are we like what were we thinking? Like, it's Alexander Madison's show. This is what we've been waiting for. Here it is, and we're scared of it when we're given it. So I don't know. I
want to ask you a question here. Do you know who was number 1 and 2 in running back snaps last year? Without looking.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs was like 3 or 4, something like that. I think he was 3 or 4. He didn't play third downs, man. People forget. He didn't play any third downs. It was Amir Abdullah who played like all the third downs. His targets were up because they utilized him in the pass catching game, but he didn't really play third downs, and he didn't play 2-minute drill sets. Sorry, you're on the clock here.
I am, and we've got like a cheeky Joe Burrow.
Yeah. Is Higgins still available? No, he's gone. What if we run Burrow and then Tyler Boyd? And just do something like so ridiculous, because naked Burrow sucks.
It does suck. Yeah. We'll make this work. I got a plan.
Yeah, I mean, you could also do like Irv Smith, because nobody else is going to touch Irv Smith.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he might be cash game viable for redacted site too. He's like really priced down and just good game environment. If you want to talk about like game environments that you're hitting on like this, like you've nailed it with game environments right now. These are 4 of the highest total games on the slate that could conceivably play the fastest too.
Right. That like this is really just like what I'm going towards. And it feels good, man. I will say, I mean, I think everybody feels good with their drafts in these. That's what's like so fun, is that you don't really like, you might make a lineup somewhere else and be like, God, this lineup sucks. It's never going to win. But like on here, you draft a team and you're like, man, like this team has a real shot. I really think that I made some right plays here, and it just keeps you coming back. And we're with the prize structures, at least for the main, are set up such that, you know, you're able to get some money back and keep grinding. So let's just look here. We can potentially do just Burrow and Irv, and do something like a little more high ceiling at wideout, like for example, like a Drake London.
Yeah, I do Taysom and I do Taysom and Tyler Boyd on this team. And
you would go Taysom. Oh, yeah. That's a good shout. That's a good shout. I'm gonna hope we get Irv on the way back, or I'm going to be the first person to win a DFS contest with naked Joe Burrow.
2 rushing touchdowns. The running back one was interesting because I wanted to tie it into the Alexander Madison. Saquon led in snaps. Number 2 was Dalvin Cook. So, I mean, if you're just talking about like raw dudes on field looking to replace, I mean, there's no reason to think that Madison just can't scoop all that up, right?
That's a really good point to make. Like, that's a ton of snaps being vacated. Yeah, I could see them. You know, he's gonna have to be the goal line back, right? I mean, he had. I really don't know, but that's interesting too. It's like, well, the guy that is taking over also like didn't see the field a lot. It's really strange.
Yeah, I know,
when you put it that way too, like it's kind of a double-edged sword there. I'm just sweating out this Irv Smith pick at this point.
I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna take Irv without what's his tight end, like 12 19. Or something? 19, yeah, nobody's taking Irv. I mean, even as a run back off of like a Deshaun thing, you're just so much better off taking Njoku. I don't think there's much of a sweat.
Right.
This is a good shout by Juice McCaffrey here, that like maybe a renaming of the like live file. Like I really like the name Dog Bowl. Like I think that's really cool, but I do think it really does need to slap you in the face like what it actually is right now, like opposed to just being on Twitter. Like when you go on the platform, there's a lot of overlap in the community, but not all of us are sickos where we're like juxtaposing every tweet with every action on the platform and whatever. Like, my casual, brother-in-law would love to enter this and play this. But when he comes on the site and he sees it, he's, oh yeah, that's not bang for my buck for $10. I'm going to go play the BR or something like that. So I do really agree with you, McCaffrey. Maybe that's something we pass down the line there.
Yeah. It's interesting, right? Because like these type of games, like, we have the people that play these in volume are like, people in our community, and we prefer flat payouts. So to juxtapose this BR 200K prize pool, 20K to first with 13K entries and top 3 win, I mean, it's a hard sell for the people that play at volume. I mean, it just is. So I think that rephrasing that differently to help get more of the casual people involved, and maybe even just rephrasing it for people like us to make it a little more, hit the right parts of the brain, and make you want to get in there. But we'll see. In my opinion, like all this tells me is that like week 1 might be a really good time to play and try to get into the live final. Based on these early fill rates. Like, tell you what, man, I want a 36 like a 36 person final to win 200K. I want to be a part of that. I want to have a 1 in 36 chance of winning 200K. that sounds cool.
Yeah, and like week 1, we talk about like how we think we know so much. We like don't know that much. We've just been learning from preseason. We're just confirmation bias, like re-adding to our previous assumptions, right? We're going to know considerably more, which introduces a lot of variance to week 1. And variance in week 1 is probably something you want to capitalize on if you are a quote unquote sharp player or a volume player or something like this. Like, yeah, it can pivot and go both ways. It can go terribly for you where the variance doesn't confirm your priors. But this is the spot in which everyone collectively knows the least. And everyone who's watching us right now has been playing, thinking, and drafting football for 4 months. And that's considerably more than the majority of the fields and lobbies that you're going to get into in this. So embracing that variance early in the season makes way too much sense when chasing live finals.
Yeah. Some good questions from Ennius. I'm not calling you M3us. Can you qualify more than once? That's a good question. I am not sure. I would think no. So I guess time will tell. And
on other redacted sites, you can, and then you just get paid out, and then the seat goes elsewhere. With this structure, I don't think it's as clean as that. So I think if you win, I think you would just stop chasing it.
And lo and behold,
up to 3 times.
We get our Irv Smith back, and it feels very wrong to not take Irv Smith. So here's two Irv Smith touchdowns on Sunday, folks.
Absolutely. Yeah, there you go. Juice McCaffrey read the rules, and we didn't, apparently. So up to 3 times you can qualify.
That would make sense because he also, Ennius is asking, is it 6 mans? And my thought was it was 3 12-mans. So it's going to be 3 like 12-person drafts
for the live final. Yeah, that'd be my understanding. That'd be such a fun thing. I mean, when we get there, even if one of us don't make it, it's going to be so fun to talk through and gal brain the optimal strat as to like how to play that.
Yeah.
Because like, here, let's do me a favor, keep this up for 1 second. I want to see some of the undrafted players on this.
Oh, look at Doobster.
Nice. Cooper Kupp with the very last pick. It's going to be a swap anyways. That's sharp as hell. And I mean, you get last priority swap. So Nick taking him in the 6th round with pick 61 is the optimal spot to take Cooper Kupp. If you think, I really don't think he plays, but I mean, that's a really sharp play to just do that. And then just, if you do it, you're shooting the moon anyways. You're looking for 1 of 3 spots. That's a really nice pick by Doobster there.
Dude, Cooper Kupp makes a lot of sense. Like, even like he has, as long as he has the Q tag, you almost want to take him hoping he doesn't play because you get an advantage. That last pick, your very last pick there, especially if you're Nick, right, at 61, you're technically still on the clock.
Right.
Like, you could swap anybody. and with Cooper Kupp, and you wait until Sunday to get all that information as far as like who's in, who's out. You know, maybe there's a surprise inactive, like, oh wow, this guy's actually getting a lot of steam, and okay, put him at the top of my ranks.
It's going to be Deion Jackson. It's going to be like something like that, where it's like they name him the starting running back halfway through the week. Like BR is already 40-something% full. But like, what if we just all of a sudden get a swap to like a low-end owned player like that, where he gets steam throughout the week? Oh, taking first team reps in practice. Zach Moss still hurt with the arm. He's not on IR. So I'm like 85% certain of that.
Yeah, he's like, he represents somebody that's worth taking, because like he's almost certainly not playing week 1. And as long as he has a Q tag, just like chalk him up as a wild card until Sunday and then swap him.
Yeah. I meant it more in terms of like not factoring into touches at all. Like he's going to be inactive. But it's just like, if we get some clarity throughout the week that like, oh yeah, Evan Hall's running with the 2s, he's running with the 1s, he gets full practices 4 in a row, and Evan Hall actually had like 1 Q in the practice reports, then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, like he might just be out there for like 80% of the snaps, and we're getting him for free with pick 61 over and over again. Now, I mean, maybe this slate's too big for it to matter, but at least he'll be a unique owned leverage piece, right?
Exactly.
We talked about this a little bit there, Juice McCaffrey, with the fact that he does have the 125, but for opening week, all of the games start at 125 in the late window, which is abnormal. So all of the afternoon games are 125. So you have 5 games to swap to.
This dude's saying 125. Well,
oh yeah.
Pacific elitist. I get it.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
The best time zone for watching football, and it's not remotely close.
It is.
Like, East Coast is falling asleep at halftime of the Sunday night. I'm like, yo, let's just, what, are we going to go play puck after this game's over, or what are we doing?
Jealous. It's so elite.
All right, Nez, what do you think? Any parting words you want to say here about the drafts and stuff like that, or should we tie a bow on her?
No, I'm ready to wrap this thing up here. Let me get everything situated, get our lovely faces up close. There we go. Oh, yeah.
Hey, I can't see your face. Where'd you go?
Is this thing working? Yeah, man. Fun show. Glad we were able to sit down and do this. We will probably, I got a travel day tomorrow. I don't know if you and Numi will be able to sit down and do anything tomorrow, but I'm out tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we're both going to Vegas. So if anybody's going out to Vegas for any of the NFC or FFPC drafts, if you're going to be hanging out with the Ship Chasers party on Friday night, if anyone's around, don't be afraid. Slide the DMs, message in the Discord, message in the thread, tag us in anything, down to hang out. So if anybody's making the venture, I heard Crack Rock's coming now, so that'll be fun. Be Pete, Pat, Gretch. I know Chris G's coming. I think Tyler said he was coming. Emo Cowboy. I think there's a whole bunch of people coming. Steph Miller's coming.
Yep.
It'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. So like John said, if you're out there, please let us know so we can say what's up, and we'll be TBD on content out there. We'll see what we can what we can do, what we can whip up while we're out in Vegas together.
Unfortunately, we obviously can't stream underdog stuff because we can't play on the platform with the people in Vegas, but perhaps Numi could do some drafting and we could do like a live show where Nez and I are together on the Thursday there. But Friday's basically going to be out, and Wednesday will probably be out. So hopefully Numi can jump on and do something on his lonesome, or we can figure out something live Thursday. But we'll be in touch in the Discord. Otherwise, we'll return next week to business as usual. And then we will start our first BR and Pick'em style show on the Underdog Daily channel with Pete next Friday. So go ahead and click that link in the bio. Make sure you guys are signed up there to the new Underdog Daily channel. That'll be a lot of fun. And we will not be streaming any drafts while we're in Vegas, live drafts and stuff like that. We will not be streaming. Anything else to add, Nez?
No, that'll do it for me, and I will see you guys in the lobbies as always.
Sounds good. If you guys didn't check out neztakes.com. He did like a little primer. What did you call it? Primer for battle royales?
Yeah, battle royale primer. Very straightforward, very dry. It's very much like entry level beginner stuff, but different principles that we talked about on here to kind of think through. So there'll probably be more just like evergreen content on BRs up on that. Up on the old Nez takes, and in future weeks I'll definitely do not so much as the the Karain walkthrough or the Evan Silva game by game, but definitely my thoughts on how I'm playing BR specifically for sure to come. I'll be pretty transparent about that during the season.
Yeah, I mean, we got the playbook for week 1 already. It's Christian Watson and Justin Fields, bud. We got it already. So
right? I don't need to write a post about that.
You don't need to write a post about it. Oh shit. All right. If you guys aren't playing on Underdog Fantasy, use MLB as your promo code. You'll get a 100% match deposit up to 100 USD. You will get a 0.5 free pick'em for the Thursday night opener for easy over on Patrick Mahomes, and you'll get a mystery pick'em as well when you sign up. So if you guys aren't playing on there yet, go ahead, do so. It's fun, man. Best return on entertainment in the business, as we like to say.
Yes.
Good luck to anybody playing in the MLB streets today. Keep filling those weekly winners and those BBM lobbies. I imagine they're going to be gone in the next 2 days, and then they'll probably have a snap fill puppy if we get there, but we got to get there first. I don't know. I'm speculating. I have no insider knowledge on any of that. Anyways, on behalf of Nez, myself, and the not present but always present in our hearts, Numi 2, we are the Badge Bros, and this is everybody's favorite time on the show, the end. Peace. Come meet up in Vegas.